Welcome back to Synopsins. Today I'm going to explain a sci-fi movie recap titled Downsizing. Watch out for spoilers and enjoy the video. The scene starts off with Dr. Jorgen Asbjornsen, a scientist working on something related with rats. Whatever it is, it seems like his experiment is a success, prompting him to run to Dr. Andreas Jacobsen. Dr. Andreas comes up holding a box and addresses the issue of overpopulation and global warming. He claims that both him and his colleague have devised a humane way of solving this crisis. Dr. Andreas calls for Dr. Jorgen by lifting the lid to a box and revealing the minuscule Dr. Jorgen, raising everyone's curiosity. He then explains that he has managed to create a serum that allows humans to be shrunk down to a ratio. After 4 years of trials, it has shown how wastes are greatly reduced, creating a global sensation full of positivity and hope. We are then introduced to Paul and Audrey Safranek, a financially struggling married couple living in Omaha. On another day, they can be seen going to their high school reunion. As they were talking about, everyone shifted their attention to one particular couple. We see Dave Johnson, Paul's old mate, and his wife Carol. They had a little talk and Dave told Paul that one of the biggest benefits of becoming small or downsizing is that money becomes less of an issue. After some consideration, Paul and Audrey decide to consider downsizing. They drove all the way to Leisureland, New Mexico, which apparently is one of the fancier communities for small individuals. They saw what they could afford with just $83, like a diamond bracelet, a pair of diamond earrings, and a diamond necklace. They went for a short consultation, then decided to make the preparation to go small. After that whole debate, they went through the administrative process and waited patiently for their turn to be downsized. Since the downsizing is administered based on their sex, Paul was separated from Audrey. Paul was given anesthetics, then shaved from head to toe to make sure that there are no side effects. Paul then awakes to Audrey being missing. He then got a call from Audrey with her tearing up and explaining that as her head was shaved, she couldn't help but rethink all her choices and decide to escape. Unfortunately, the call ends there. Paul was then given a tour by a guy called Matt, showing the place and bringing him to his new lavish mansion. But a year later, Paul and Audrey signed their divorce papers because they can no longer be together with them being different sizes. This also means that Paul can no longer afford the mansion, and he is now only able to afford an apartment while working as a customer service representative for Land's End. He then went to Dave's party feeling less than adequate compared to his peers. Dave gave him some advice to just seek out single moms, and Paul did start going out. We see Paul meeting this lovely woman before being interrupted by his shady neighbor Dusan, who invited him to go to his place. Paul reluctantly agrees but went to send his partner off first. He goes up to Dusan's surprisingly modern and decked up apartment while bringing a real-sized rose to the party. He went and met artists and other rich people. He even went and swallowed a pill some random girl gave him, though he admittedly regretted it almost instantly and made himself gag. He got high and he passed out until early in the morning. Talking about passing out, why don't you pass us some love and support by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. We appreciate your feedback, so comment down below what you'd like to see next. When he got up, Dusan treated him for breakfast and a little talk. He explains that there is so much opportunity as a small person as you are able to be rich without actually being rich. However, as they were chatting, Paul seemed to recognize the limp walk of one of the house cleaners. Paul saw her face, the face of Ngoc Lan Tran, a Vietnamese political activist who was jailed and downsized against her will. She escaped in a television box shipped to the US and brought to Leisureland to get her leg amputated. Paul tried to make adjustments to her leg, but she refused and insisted that Paul come with her to help her sick friend. He goes along with her and finds himself in a place outside the walls of Leisureland, the slums at which the service workers of the community live. He was shocked that this still exists in the utopia that they marketed. They then finally met Gladys, a lady who's sick beyond help, with stomach cancer and no one to help. Paul acted at the very least to be somewhat of a doctor to give some assurance to Gladys. Once finished, he was about to help Tran with her leg adjustments, but she refused and said she's tired, then told him to come back Thursday 10 a.m., and so he did. He then promises to work for her cleaning services and gather food from around the city to distribute them throughout the slums. 2 weeks later, the son meets the pathetic Paul and takes pity on him. He decides to make him deliver supplies to the original colony of small people in Norway. Unexpectedly, Tran decides to tag along. She explains that as she was recovering, she received one special letter from Dr. Jorgen, telling her how he feels bad that his invention was used to basically destroy her life. She was invited by Dr. Jorgen and he was willing to pay for all her travels, but she was always busy. She cries, thanking Jesus for this opportunity that she will finally be able to meet him in person. In a Norwegian fjord, Dr. Jorgen and his wife board a yacht, and Dr. Jorgen then announces that humanity will soon be extinct. Over 26 Nobel Prize winners and other notable scientists came together and saw the positive feedback of Arctic methane emissions, prompting them to believe that it is an actuarial certainty that humans will go extinct. Even downsizing won't help since only 3% of the world miniaturize itself. Both Paul and Tran wistfully look out into the sea and lament the possibility that they will die soon enough. And then they proceed to go to bed and make love. The next day they arrive and see the wonders of Norwegian flora and fauna. They ride on miniaturized horses and see the plants surrounding them as if they're in prehistoric times. As they arrive, the people there welcome Dr. Jorgen with much excitement. Dr. Jorgen explains that this is his contingency plan, that he and other colonists will enter a large underground vault for a prolonged period of time. It is only after about 8,000 years that their descendants will emerge once the environment stabilizes. They thought of everything from livestock to machinery and other agricultural planes. She's worried for the people at the slums. Paul tried to convince her to look at the bigger picture and that it's best for them to stay here. She brings Paul to the son and Joris. Paul explains that this is his chance to do something that actually matters, especially after all the screw-ups he did. The next day, Paul and Tran had a heart-to-heart talk. Tran asks whether he actually loves her, and why does he decide to leave now. With this pestering his mind, in an ironic turn of events, he decides that he isn't going to lock himself up for his lifetime and go back to the mini place he knows. He returns with Tran and continues to serve the community alongside Tran. There are always two sides of a coin, and both will always be true. Regardless, what matters most is how we choose to perceive the truth and how we act as a result. A satisfying movie with a believable plot. Would recommend anyone to watch this light-hearted movie. Thanks for watching the video. Like if you like it, sub if you love it, and ring that bell so you won't miss it.